had this very odd pain, like right here in my sternum area, and it moved over to my right side. It happened twice, and I actually had gone to the weight loss doctor. And I just casually mentioned, oh, by the way, this happened when I was gone twice, blah, blah, blah. And she said, it's gotta be your gallbladder. She said, we'll just have your gallbladder checked out. If there's a problem, we'll take it out, no big deal. I got home about 2:30, and about 3:30, the weight loss surgeon himself called me and said, it's something and you need to see the urologist as soon as possible.
So she came in for a renal mass, which is an abnormal growth on the kidney, most commonly seen on imaging such as a CT scan. And in her case, the CT scan was done for abdominal pain, and it picked up this abnormality, this growth on her kidney that she hadn't had any symptoms from, but was definitely concerning for a kidney cancer.
I mean, you don't know what's going on. And by the time I got to Dr. Young, I was a hot mess. I mean, I literally sat in the waiting room just crying because I was so keyed up about it. And Dr. Young walked in the door and, she put her hand out, said, hi, I'm Dr. Young. I'm 75 to 80% sure you have cancer and we've got to get it out.
Once I told her that it looked like a kidney cancer and we need to remove it, and I plan to remove it with what's called a robotic partial nephrectomy, she was actually relieved to have a plan in place.
You hear about it in science fiction books, you hear about it, watching Star Trek or whatever, but robotic surgery, no. That was definitely something new.
5-10 years ago, and even still now, when there's an abnormal growth on the kidney, we'd make a large incision along the ribs to get down to the kidney. Originally, we would remove the entire kidney. Then we found that we could remove just the abnormal growth with a rim of healthy tissue. Then came along laparoscopic or keyhole surgery, which involved small incisions in the belly, but with basically straight tools, a little more awkward tools. And then came along robotic surgery, where we could hook those laparoscopic tools up to a robot that gave us magnification, 3D vision, the ability to have wrists, filtered out our tremor, and had all these advances in technology that really helped with the reconstructive portion, or sewing the kidney back together once the mass was out. And so in her situation, the mass or abnormal growth was small enough that I thought she'd be a good candidate to remove just the mass, what's called a partial nephrectomy, taking out part of the kidney.
I arrived at the hospital. I had to sit in the waiting room for a little while. And then I went back to the waiting area where they get you undressed and put your IV in and all of that. It takes about an hour, hour and a half maybe, to get you docked up to the robot. That's where they put the little micro instruments inside of you to do the job, and the camera. The camera's 3D, which they said was, you can see everything. It's just like looking at it, you and I. And then Dr. Young came about 45 minutes later, and she did the surgery.
We were able to dissect down to the kidney, identify the abnormal growth, excise the abnormal growth, and then sew everything back together.
I woke up a little bit later,
and the pathology report came back that it was indeed a kidney cancer, as we had suspected, and that all the cancer had been removed. And she's now about 1.5 years out with any evidence of recurrence. We continue to monitor her closely to make sure that the kidney cancer never comes back.
I have so much to be grateful for at this point.
When I go to work, I'm part of a team that can remove a cancer and save a life so she can go on and do her normal activities and have a new lease on life. And that's what I have to do for work. That's my job. It's a wonderful thing. I really enjoy what I do.